Drunken Bear. Today we're going to talk about things that you shouldn't do in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Don't do this. Of course all these videos are very subjective and it's very silly, and of course you can do whatever the hell you want to do, to be honest.
First of all,
The first don't touch off your Mikey on a tram in Melbourne. This is a classic thing that will annoy people behind you waiting to get off, especially if you're on a tram in the CBD where there's so many people waiting to get off and trying to get off. Don't touch off, because you're just holding people up for no reason. You do not have to touch off on a tram. And I can see why it's really confusing too, because like I see heaps of people do it, even I think people from Melbourne who don't use public transport very often, because they keep telling you remember to touch on and off, but for a tram you don't have to touch off. I don't know why, I don't get the whole system of how they've done it, but you don't touch off on a tram.
next one is don't smoke inside cafe or bars or restaurants. So they are usually separated smoking area, so you can smoke there. Usually it looks really cool because it's separated. It may sound like cliche, but I know some countries they allowed people to smoke inside the stores, but in Australia definitely no.
When we went to Berlin recently, in the bars, people were smoking. It's really feels like going back in time. In Australia, once upon a time you could, but they're getting pretty strict on smokers. It's a pretty tough world for smokers out there,
Yeah.
actually. They got it pretty hard, so...
Yeah, even in Japan, I saw some people were smoking, but yeah, I found it a bit weird.
Another train-related one, really, but it's kind of goes for anywhere, really, but don't stand on the right. So, especially up on an escalator, if you're going up, if you stand on the right, you will annoy people pretty quickly.
Yeah, but also people are quite polite. They don't say anything.
Test here. Henry's the one being the bad guy. Howard's trying to get past on the escalator, like this. That looks pretty good. That's realistic. Like this. And then they're like this. Upset, fuming, absolutely fuming, but they still don't say anything.
Yeah, but
A lot of the time.
in this circumstance, I think Henry will punch him.
Nah, in this circumstance, Howard, even if he was standing on the right, he couldn't pass because Henry's too fat. That's the reality.
Don't like to insult.
Yeah, absolutely, you will annoy people if you stand on the right in an escalator. So yeah, try not to do that. Another way you'll really annoy people very quickly here in Australia, in Melbourne, is if you have a dog and the dog poops on the ground. If you don't pick it up, you will annoy people. So definitely the whole dog scooping thing is a pretty big thing here, and people, when they're walking their dogs, they bring the little doggy bag thing and a little scoop, and they'll scoop it up, put it in the bag, and then put it in the bin.
Scoop it. I thought they touch it with bare hands.
No, but other people don't use the scoop, and they just use the bag itself, put it on as a glove, and then pick it up like that. But they definitely don't use their hands. That's disgusting.
Hands? No.
That's disgusting. This is another pretty important one, really. Like, this is a classic safety message here from the Drunken Bear. Is if you're at the beach, it's a pretty bad idea to swim outside the flags. So don't swim outside the flags. So I don't really know how it works on beaches overseas, but here they've usually got two flags in the main area, and they're guarded by lifesavers, so lifeguards. So, and usually they pick that area of a place that's safe to swim, because in beaches here, beaches are always a bit of a dangerous place to go, especially if you're not a very good swimmer, and you can get caught out in the rip. What's going on here? Suddenly snack time. Unbelievable. So you can get caught out in a rip, suddenly very deep water. So you've got to be careful, and you'll be a lot safer if you swim between the flags.
Another thing that is very Aussie thing again is there are so many public barbecue equipment all over Australia. Not only just Melbourne, everywhere in Australia, which is really good, and I think it's really cool. But anyway, so what you gotta do is after using it, make sure you clean it. Because other people will come to the place and then they will use the same equipment and they see dirty equipment.
It takes them a long time to clean it because it
Yeah.
wouldn't be drying like up on there, getting hard, so it's just very hard to scrape that off.
Yeah, it's not a good manner. I mean, it sounds very like, of course, typical, but it's quite important to know. I think everyone who use that.
And a lot of people don't do it. A lot of people don't clean the barbecue, so it's just another way that you're not going to annoy people, really.
So that's all we've got. Don't do this stuff in Melbourne or Australia. But you know, having said that, there are some exceptions. Because our bears, they never keep all these rules. They always stand on the right. They
They do the
always
opposite.
use equipment without cleaning. Like
That's true.
they do all these things, bears. So
They're crazy. So yeah, that's our little video about things that you might not know is a big no-no in
Big
Melbourne.
no-no.
Because, you know, a lot of countries are different too. Like, classic example is when I went to Germany and I just finished a bottle of, I forget, it was some strange drink anyway that I had, and I put the bottle in the bin afterwards. And the German friend who we were with just said to me, he goes, "Oh, just to let you know, that's pretty, you shouldn't do that." Like, what they do is that they leave the bottles next to the bin so people can come and collect it. So it's something like just I had no idea about. So it's something that for Germans might be so obvious, but for people who are foreign, you get used to your own ways of doing things.
okay, so thank you for watching our video. And please subscribe to our channel if you really enjoyed this, and to watch more videos about us, Melbourne, or trips that we've gone to. And see you guys. Bye.
Bye guys.